Hey, what's up, folks? Welcome back to On Texas Football. Welcome back to the Winning Drive. I'm lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers. Pleased to be joined by fellow lifetime Longhorn, the young prodigy C.J. Vogel, and our own coach, former high school football coach at Burnet, Capel, Brownwood, Belton, Rotan. Also played college football at Abilene Christian, coach there as well, and was on the staff at the University of Texas for multiple head football coaches. These days, you can catch his work at ShipleyRanches.com. It's our own coach, Bob Shipley. What's going on, Coach? How you doing?
Man, is it a great week to be a freaking Longhorn or what?
It feels like that. It certainly feels like that. Yeah.
And what was it, Tuesday?
Mm-hmm.
Tuesday, I was like, I can't remember when I've been that fired up.
Christmas on Tuesday felt like.
I mean, not only from the, from Sark and our guys representing the program at SEC Media Days, but just, just just everything about the day was just so much fun. I mean, Sark not even being fazed by the A&M war hymn or whatever. I mean, it's just like, get out of my yard, nerds. He's kind of like, yeah, I ain't even gonna have time. I don't even want to, just like, man, just a proud day, proud week.
Yep. No, Sark definitely handled that like a pro. Like I said, I wouldn't have blamed him if he decided not to even step on that podium, coach. He'd be like, nah, I'm not stepping out to that song. But whether he didn't hear it, whether he was so focused it didn't faze him, or whether he heard it and decided, no, I'm a professional. I will be an example to my players. Don't get distracted by the nonsense.
Wow, that's a great
mission. The mission at hand. He did get an apology though from Greg Sankey the next day. He apologized for it. So that's, I guess it's all in the past now. But that was one of the big storylines. And CJ, let me ask you, because Coach, you kind of brought it up there initially. I feel like most of the big storylines coming out of SEC Media Days, a lot of them were Texas related. And maybe I got the burnt orange glasses on, of course, but it does feel like you were there, boots on the ground. Give me your top 5 storylines from SEC Media Days, and how many of them are Longhorn related?
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of with you, Rod. By the lens of the Longhorns, it certainly feels like they have the majority, right? I mean, Tuesday just kind of dominated the phrase. Today was interesting. And of course, I was following from the road a little bit, but I have to go back to Vanderbilt thinking that this is a playoff team going into 2025. Obviously, Texas with the 2 commitments kind of going into the state of Georgia and having great success on the trail. Obviously, the A&M war hymn, Coach, as you mentioned, that was a big part of it. But look, it's interesting because A&M made a big deal about Texas today. And our John Burrows has been doing a great job of posting stuff on Texas Football, on Twitter, on OTF.com. Look, A&M knows that this is a game that they have to win this year. It's going to be really interesting just how much they go into preparation for it. But, Rod, I'm with you. Probably 80% of the big storylines this year from Texas about Texas.
Yep. Yeah, Arch, of course. And then you got the coaches mentioned the Aggie, battle hymn or the Aggie fight song being played when Sark's being introduced. The Texas commitments. I want to get coaches' thoughts on those 2 big commitments from Tyler Atkinson, who's from that greater metro Atlanta area, and also James Johnson, who was committed to Georgia. So then one of the storylines, Coach, kind of became Texas versus Georgia. And I've been saying that's going to be an unofficial rival for a little while, at least until Texas overcomes that Kirby Smart hurdle. And man, I think Kirby Smart, even though he beat him twice on the field, I think Kirby Smart understands, Texas is coming. They are ascending. And I guarantee he's going to have a little something special for Texas too, because that was a guy that Texas poked right out of his backyard and a guy that was committed to Georgia. Texas understands if they want to beat Georgia, they got to do it on the recruiting trail, and they're going to do it on the field too.
Am I right, guys? We played Georgia more in one season than A&M has played them the whole time they've been in the SEC.
Correct.
Wow.
Yeah, right. They played them one time. Yeah,
Damn,
but hey, here's something. Y'all talked a little bit this morning, Rod, Coffee Football, about the Paul Feinbaum handshake with Arch Manning. You'd think he was shaking hands with Elvis Presley the way he turned around and looked at the camera like, hey, y'all see that? I just shook hands with the man.
You get a nice little smirk.
Yeah, he's got a man, right? CJ, isn't that the talk that he doesn't even hide the fact that he's got a little man crush on Art, right? It's
Oh
out
yeah,
there.
100%.
Yeah, so that's like I said, that was another. Like I said, all the storylines. I hate to, kind of throw it out there through burnt orange glasses, but I do believe Texas, if you can win a media days, Texas won SEC media days, if that's possible. It's like we were talking about the combine and stuff. Like, can you win a combine? It was like, well, man, Texas is certainly going to be in the conversation if there is one to win the combine. And I think that's why Texas fans feel so good. Feels like you got momentum as a program out of SEC media days, and that's weird to feel. Just because of the two big recruits you got there, and just the way that the program was presented overall, which we'll talk about too.
That's a great point, Rod. And media days, winning media days is kind of like winning 7-on-7. They don't give you a trophy, they make you feel good or whatever. But This is impactful because there's a lot of clips and a lot of moments out of there that recruits are going to see, that the staff is going to be sending to recruits. And I mean, has there ever been a more impressive head coach at a press conference going into a season? I've never seen one more impressive than Sark was Tuesday. I haven't. I mean, just the pitch, everything was perfect. The academics, that's unbelievable. I mean, to hear it from his words year to year, I mean, it's just, but there's just so many great nuggets that you can put in front of recruits, so yes, it is going to help us. They're not going to give us a trophy or anything for it, but it's certainly going to make an impression on recruits.
There you go. Yeah, it feels like you get a trophy for I left away. As soon as you say that, Matthew's got to pan it out from the trophy case. It's nice. But you are right about that, Coach. I just felt like there are times where guys throw out clickbait, and then Coach says something that maybe will be taken out of context or is considered, oh man, that's bulletin board material, something like that. Nah, man, Sark, he does a great job of giving the media what they need, because they need stuff for stories. But nothing salacious. He's very respectful. He talked about Arkansas. I was like, yeah, Arkansas kicked our arse that first year. I mean, he gave respect to them, did not disrespect the Aggies he could have taken a shot there. He could have taken a shot at the SEC and at the Aggies. Nobody would have blamed him. I've been there. You know what? He's entitled to do that. That was very disrespectful, playing the Aggie fight song while he's coming out. And no, Sark didn't. I don't even know. I mean, I can't wait till somebody asks him about it at the next media availability, just to see if he heard it or not. I need to know if he heard it or not. Because
I'm hoping he does get asked about it, and I'm hoping he just goes, "Oh, I don't care. It doesn't faze me one bit."
It's not like they played it a lot last fall when we played them.
They did not play it a lot last fall. We actually, John Burrows, who is also part of the On Texas football family, he's still there. At least he was still there for the Aggies media day representation. So we'll get to some of the comments that were said from the Aggies as well. It wasn't a ton that I think, not a ton of splashy headlines, if you will, from the A&M faithful, at least from the A&M representation. But we'll talk about some of the things that Elko said and some of the things that the players said. I thought it was strange, though, and Jeff brought this up too. Why didn't they bring Marcel Reed? Was he asked about that? And why would every other team in the SEC who had the opportunity to bring a multi-year starting quarterback did so? Even the ones who weren't with the program, ones who transferred in, everybody who had that chance, they did it. Now, some didn't even, I think Ole Miss and Texas and Georgia, they didn't even have multi-year starting quarterbacks returning. They just brought their quarterbacks because it's a natural leadership position. Somebody, I didn't see the quotes anywhere, and I got to go actually watch the entire press conference from Elko and see if somebody asked him, why didn't you bring Marcel Reed?
Yeah, I want to know. I wish I was there to ask, and I wish there was a reason given. Maybe it's just to reward the three other leaders, but I mean, look, the quarterback's the face of your franchise. He should be the one representing your organization. It was interesting not seeing him out there this weekend.
You never know. It could have had a family emergency, or could have been something. You think they would mention that if that was the case, but it does kind of put a cloud of doubt, maybe a little bit, in the trust maybe that they have in him, maybe, and of course, just because somebody might not be good in front of a microphone certainly doesn't mean they're not going to win a lot of football games. We know that. Those two aren't relevant, but anyway, it does a kind of a head scratcher for sure.
Yeah, Alan says Elko said Reed was the face of their program, yet didn't bring him. Yeah, I mean, it's just, Coach, you're probably right. I'm sure there is some kind of reason where
I'm sure
conflict. Yeah, but does he want to reveal that reason to us? That's an entirely different conversation. But so throwing it out there too. Something else I want to get to, because Coach, we haven't gotten your thoughts yet on the two recent commitments for the Longhorns, Tyler Atkinson and James Johnson. Elko said he only wanted his captains there on XM Radio. Okay, so he's not a captain.
So he's not a captain. Multi-year starting quarterback.
That feels more concerning to me. I want my multi-year starting quarterback returning to be a captain. Coach, you've been a coach. It's not always the coach, the quarterback that's the captain. But it is a lot of the time, right?
Yeah, I mean, obviously nobody can speak for Coach Elko. I don't have any idea. I mean, typically yes, but I've never been a head college football coach, so I don't know all the things that go into that way of thinking and who you want speaking to the media. And again, I think there could have been something that came up that we just don't know about, or maybe they don't want people to know about because it's a private issue. I don't know, but the fact that he's not a captain, that's another head scratcher. But still, they probably got a lot of great leaders on that football team.
Yeah, no, that could exactly. I just think the teams that I've been on, I think I'd like my quarterback to be one of my captains. I'd like him to be at that natural leadership position. I'd like him to be one of the elite leaders, and that's usually when you become a captain, you're an elite leader on the team. So maybe he's a leader, but not like Coach said, maybe not one of the elite leaders on the team. They got some guys that obviously can handle that role a little bit better, or that can showcase themselves a little bit better in that role. I'm not sure. Somebody's got to ask Elko again about that. All right, let me ask you guys. Before we throw out there are 44 days until we play Ohio State, kickoff against Ohio State. 44 days, guys. A lot of great 44s. Shout out to my man CB. He's always throwing out the great 44s. He throws out the countdown week to week and day to day, and the best players who wore those numbers day to day. Shout out to Jackson Jeffcoat, who was a great player for Texas, also a defensive player of the year in the conference. Shout out to Dylan Haynes, another guy who wore 44, I believe, back in the day. I know how y'all feel about white safeties, but Dylan Haynes was a baller. Still top 5, I believe, all time in interceptions at Texas. If I'm not mistaken, I still think he's in that number. Cole Pittman is another guy. Shout out to Cole Pittman, RIP, passed away as a player when I was there at Texas. Ricky Brown, who blocked for Ricky Williams on some of those great teams too. So shout out to all the 44s out there. Winfred Tubbs, can't forget about Winfred Tubbs too. So shout out to my man CV, always keeping that together, and shout out to the 44s out there. All right, I want to get to Coach's thoughts about Tyler Atkinson and James Johnson. Just real quick before we move on, because they committed on Tuesday. We had our last winning drive on Monday, and haven't heard Coach's thoughts about these two great players. Coach, what are your thoughts first about Tyler Atkinson, who, by the way, CJ, that's why he's at the airport now, could have left a little bit earlier, but CJ stopped by practice for Tyler Atkinson. So we'll get CJ's thoughts here about what he saw today. But, Coach, I want your thoughts about what you think of this young prospect.
Well, I even think more of him after him coming in the middle of his practice and letting OTF interview him. I mean, that's like VIP stuff right there. I tell you, man, I first saw this guy, and I mean, I know stance doesn't mean a lot, but just looking at him in his stance, man, he's got his butt, pointed to the secondary, and I mean, he just ready to go in any direction, and then he does. He has great pursuit angles. He's relentless. I'm trying to think of a better linebacker, high school linebacker I've seen on film in recent history. I mean, he'd been working with Derrick Johnson. That tells me a lot right there. And you can see a few similarities. Although I think he brings some different tools in his bag, I guess. But he's as good as I can ever remember seeing as a high school incoming senior.
Yeah,
I agree. Look, it's interesting, right? He's going to draw a lot of attention, a lot of similarities to Anthony Hill. I think they're different linebackers, but there's a lot of similarities there, just in different ways. Anthony Hill is probably a little bit more thick than Tyler Atkinson. He's a little bit more lengthy in the arms. A little bit skinnier on the lower body. But God, what a hit right there!
Yeah.
But there's the same violence there, right? When he hits somebody, when he's in contact with someone trying to block him, look, that guy's flying elsewhere, right? He's being shed immediately. There's a longer wingspan there. He's able to shed blocks very easily. I think that, look, after seeing him today, the competitive nature is it's pretty unbelievable. He's the first guy onto the field, and he's going to let the opposing team know that this is his field, right? He does a kind of like a build-up with his defense before they take the field. It's kind of like, hey, show them why we're state champions. Show them why we are the best team in the state of Georgia. And then they go out there and they dominate, right? That was what was happening this morning. But my goodness, Coach, I mean, coast to coast, east, west, north, south, this guy moves so well. He's 6'2.5", 215 pounds right now. I bet he gets up to about 225, 230. I don't think you want him getting too big, but that frame alone allows him to play with much more mass than what he's carrying right now. Really talented prospect, and it made it easy with those orange shoes. Watching him this morning, he's just flying around every scrum, just saying, "Hey, I'm going to be a force to be reckoned with, 100%."
Yeah. No, it's his recognition. Like he tells, he's a very smart football player because when he sees it, when he processes and actually diagnoses the play, he is on a beeline, and that's when that really elite closing speed and just that violence that violent twitch you talk about when he gets to the ball. I think he surprises. You can see it on this film. He surprises ball carriers and quarterbacks with how quickly he closes the gap between the second level and the first level. They're almost shocked.
Look at the competition he's doing it against.
Yeah.
I mean that's some of the best football in the country right there. That's the hotbed. Look at all those guys. I mean, it's not like he's doing it against some weak sisters. I mean, this guy is doing it against some of the best high school football teams and high school players in the country.
Yeah. And I don't mean this as a shot at Anthony Hill. Trust me. I'm as big an Anthony Hill fan as you'll find. I watched Ant run, it was a 4.69 laser his junior year going into his senior year at Denton Ryan. I would be very surprised if Tyler Atkinson didn't have that beat by half a tenth of a second.
Wow.
I think a low 4.6 right now, maybe a high 4.5 is kind of where you see him. I mean, he just jumps a little quicker than what that comparison is. And look, Hill's been tremendous. He's got him beat as a passer rusher. We did see it a little bit, him kind of sneaking down into like a sniffer over a guard or so. But you want him playing the middle of the field. And the other thing is every call that came in from the defensive coordinator, from the linebackers coach, whoever it was calling it in from the sideline, went through Tyler Atkinson to the rest of the defense. He's going to remain the quarterback of a defense at the next level, carrying on exactly where Anthony Hill is right now.
Yep. Yeah. I'm with you on that. Like I said, football IQ do stand out because he diagnoses plays quickly, but man, he's just so quick to the football. I mean, he takes great angles to the football too. Almost immaculate angles to the football and adjusts them really well. You just love his overall game. Modern football, the way modern football has now evolved, they don't really make linebackers like Tyler Atkinson anymore. You just don't see them. They usually have to develop them, turn a DeMarvio and Overshown into a guy like that just because
they're not in Texas.
And they're not in Texas. Exactly. And just as he's got an old school feel, downhill kind of feel that linebacker, right, Coach? I mean, Will Muschamp love this dude.
He does kind of remind me of DJ a little bit when he takes off running. Those arms are pumping. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, he is going 90-0 to the football, just like DJ used to do.
Yeah, he can cover sideline to sideline and get downhill in a hurry. That reminds me of DJ too, coach. And I think he'll be underrated in coverage. I know he hadn't shown a lot in coverage, but he's got all the tools to be a good coverage defender, and he's smart. To me, the biggest key for linebackers in coverage is depth and being able to read the proper keys, to find the proper keys once you get that depth. Anthony Hill is great at it, by the way, now. And I think this young man will be too once he's taught the proper keys to read.
That's what I was going to ask you, because we saw it a lot today. And again, Grayson didn't show a whole lot of their defense with the season beginning in about 3 weeks. You know, these scrimmages, whether they're shown on tape or whatnot, it's very base level defense. But for the most part, and you see it a lot on tape, he's used as kind of a spy around the 5-yard line, beyond the line of scrimmage. And obviously that works to his benefit. Very quick to trigger, can get downhill, can rush the passer very well. But you don't see him too often get down to depth. And, we could talk about the old Muschamp saying about a thoroughbred, right? But that's going to be something that is going to be really interesting to see how he kind of gets to that level at the college game, because he's going to be asked to do it no matter what.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's a good point, though. And I think, like I said, Anthony Hill, he's got so many added dimensions. What you just brought up was interesting about him being a spy at times. I went back and I started tracking sacks. I want to say like 2 of Anthony Hill's sacks came on when he was in that spy role, right? And he adds himself late as a rusher. Once the pass protection is set, he'll add himself late, or he's spying and the quarterback starts to trickle out the pocket. Then boom, he goes on the beeline, take the quarterback out. This guy in the modern age of football, where you're going to face essentially half your schedule is going to be dual threat quarterbacks. That's just the reality of football these days. This kind of linebacker is the kind of linebacker you need that can be a great spy. I would not worry about him getting lost in the open field against great athletes at quarterback.
Yeah, and let me just double up on what Seagaddis is saying right here. Look, Bo Barnes, 240 pounds, ran 10.9 last year. Right, that's a freaky pairing. If you were to see the 2 of them on the field on top of what a Ty Anthony Smith has turned into already, having gained 30 pounds since arriving last December. Oh, go ahead. Look, that linebacking room is going to be unbelievable.
Yeah. Hey, I'd like to, CJ, if you ever get a chance to visit with him again, I'm just curious as to why he wears the number 16.
It's a good question.
There's going to be a lot of number 16 jerseys in the stadium next year, for our quarterback.
Yeah, Coach, did you hear the story Michael Taft told this weekend? He said in the middle of warm-ups for the Cotton Bowl, Colt McCoy came over and started talking to him. And Colt looked at Taft and she goes, "Hey man, there sure are a lot of 16 jerseys out here." And he kind of patted him on the shoulder pads, and Taft goes, "Yeah, it's pretty great." And Colt looks at him and goes, "Too bad none of them are yours."
I know he did.
Oh, that is.
And we joked in the media scrum, and of course we brought it back up because look, the 12 jerseys that you see at DKR, for the most part, they say Thomas III on the back. Right, that's what they sold at the co-op, and so Taft's like, "Oh yeah, I guess the next time I see him, I can make that joke saying, hey, all those 12 jerseys we see at DKR, no, those are Earl Thomas's, not Colt McCoy."
That's a good point.
That is great. That's awesome, man. Taft's got a great sense of humor. All right, let's thank our first sponsor of today's program before we move on. Our friends at Flat Creek Estate Winery. Flat Creek Estate Winery, folks, just minutes from downtown Austin, and they've won award after award this year for their vintage wine, Super Texan. The Super Texan is now available at your local Specs, so you can give it a try there. And I just told you guys earlier this week, the Super Texan was entered into the San Francisco Wine Festival, actually scored a 98 out of 100. That's right, nearly a perfect score. It was named the top red blend in the country by the San Francisco Wine Festival there. So you can not only try the best red blend in Texas, but the best red blend in the country. They have it at your local Specs. They have it at your local HEB. They also, I saw a display at our local Central Market here in Austin. So the good word is getting out about the great wines over at Flat Creek Estate Winery. But not only do they produce some of the best premium wines that you'll ever taste, they also have a gorgeous venue with barbecues and wine tastings every single weekend, perfect for a day date with your significant other or a weekend getaway with your significant other. That's Flat Creek Estate Winery, flatcreekestate.com. I really appreciate them for sponsoring the winning drive and being a part of the On Texas football family. All right, let's before we continue, we got a couple of questions here I want to get to, and then we'll dive into some of the topics for the day. How about this one from Burnt Orange Horn? What time is Cooper's commitment on Sunday, and where can it be viewed?
Ooh, 6 p.m. Sunday night. I don't know where it's being broadcasted. I do know we're going to have something for it, so stay tuned on Texas football because the minute Jerry Hamilton dropped me off at the airport this morning, he went east. And if you know a map, you know where east is from Georgia. So I'll just leave it there.
I like it. I like it. All right. And I do believe I heard Bobby say this morning that I think he's leaning Texas right now for Derrick Cooper. A little slight lean for Texas.
Yeah.
That would be crazy.
I'll put it around 65-35 for Texas right now. And that's up from about 60-40 earlier in the week. I think the Longhorns made a really big push over the last 2 weeks. Obviously, they're trying to build on some momentum with Samari Matthews, James Johnson, Tyler Atkinson. They have a void at the running back spot. And look, if they're able to land Derrick Cooper, well, there's your running back class for 2026. In my eyes, if they land Derrick Cooper, no need for a second back. He's your guy.
Yeah. Coach, I mean, you probably I know you haven't got a chance to watch him, but just watching him here. Dude's impressive.
No. He's different. He's not. When I put on the tape, it was not what I thought I was going to see. I was expecting more, of a scat back kind of, but he's more of a straight line guy, and he's got a great burst of speed. Like Mac Brown used to say, the hard part is keeping them committed. Once you've got them committed, the hard part's signing them. And so there's going to be ebb and flow to this season. We hope we don't have much low in that ebb and flow, but there's going to be a battle until it's not with these guys. I think especially these guys that that Georgia's recruiting.
Got to recruit to the whistle.
That's right.
Jerry shout out to Jerry and CJ both who got out there to go watch Tyler Atkinson at Grayson today. And what did Jerry say? How many? Because you've been tweeting out about a lot of these prospects from this high school, the same high school that Tyler Atkinson is from. CJ, did I hear Jerry say he said something like potentially 30, like D1? Did he say that?
Yeah, I'd say so. Look, if Duncanville and DeSoto have about 35, I would say Grayson's right there. I think that they have 35 guys. Look, we walked out on the field, and there were 4 other schools there. Grayson, excuse me, I get the two mixed up. Grayson, the reigning 6A state champion in Georgia. Give me one sec with this announcement here. But the minute that we get out there, one of the coaches walks up to both of us and goes, "Watch that guy." We're like, "What are you talking about?" Like, he goes, "He's at 2029. He's been on August 1st or August 2nd will be his first day of high school. Watch him." We watched him. Pretty damn good. 3 hours later, Texas offered him. 29 wide receiver coach. If that makes you feel old, I was looking around. I said, how old are you? And he goes, 14. I'm like, you're half my age. But 6'1", can really run, jumped out the gym. He's going to be a freaky guy. Laquan Jackson's his name, for anyone wondering.
And that's why they get out there and get boots on the ground, ladies and gentlemen. You won't get better content or info anywhere else about top prospects than from my man Jerry Hamilton, CJ Vogel, Bobby Burton. As a matter of fact, great time the pub on TexasFootball.com. Go check it out for yourself. Right now, offering a great special. You can get a year subscription for first. Oh, yeah, there you go. Man, that's fancy. Fancy new graphic. Become an OTFOG by using that promo code OTFOG. And you can get a year's access, a year's subscription to OnTexasFootball.com for just $39.95, folks. You won't find a better deal than that. If you're a baller on a budget, you'll appreciate that. Got Ryan Winger on there, got Colin Simmons, both who have changed their numbers, by the way, now. So we're just talking about number 16. Well, it's going to be a lot of 16s in there because of Arch and for Michael Taft. But Marco says here in the question, who have more number 1 jerseys in the stands, Wingo or Simmons?
I think that's going to be Colin.
I think so.
I think it's going to be Colin.
Yeah,
look,
I think right.
I mean, he just came off of what, a 9-sack freshman All-American season.
Yeah.
Now, when Arch starts throwing some touchdowns to Wingo, I think that's when you'll start to see some of those Wingos in the stands as well, because there's going to be plenty of them this fall.
Hey, if you're Wingo, you just look up there and say, "Thanks, man. Thank you." You just got to believe it. You just got to believe it.
That's true. You believe that? That's your number one.
That's
You don't
my
see
fans.
Yeah.
I'm not going to let you down.
Coach, you don't see the back of the jersey saying in your mind, hey.
No, that's right.
All like it's in my mind that they all root for me.
That's what I used to think about Matthew McConaughey. He always wore an 8 jersey. And I thought, that's pretty cool, man. He's a fan, you know. And then I started seeing old pictures of him back when my boys are probably in junior high or something. He's wearing an 8 jersey. He's always wore an 8.
Oh, that was good. Hey, no, you know what? No, he was wearing it. He was wearing it for the Shipley's, man. That's what
he wasn't either.
Oh, that's great. That's good. All right. A couple of more questions here. How about this one from Hoosier Horns? What would a Cooper commitment put us into in terms of class ranking?
Oh, firmly top 5. Because, look, you have the number 1 quarterback in the country. You have the number 1 linebacker in the country now. John Turntime's a 5-star guy. I believe, look, Richard Wesley, a top 2, top 3 edge rusher. Cooper would be top 2 running back as well. So I think you're looking at another top 5 class entering August. Now, who does Texas go out and flip after this? Who else do they add in senior evals? Coach, I know we talked about the over/under at 2.5 this year. I'd raise it to 3.5, and I'd still take the under there. That's where I think the line is at. A 1, 2, or 3 class is certainly in the cards for the Longhorns.
Man, crazy to think people were complaining like 2 weeks ago, like literally on this very channel, on this show about Texas and the lull in recruiting, and now it feels like it's Christmas, Christmas in mid-July for Longhorn fans. All right, thank you guys for some of the questions. We'll hit some more of those. Please throw us out any questions you have. We'll try to address as many of them as we can. Super chats always, of course, jump to the front of the line. You can interrupt the show at any time. I got a couple of things I want to bring up, guys. I saw and Pro Football Focus. They've been ranking now the best offenses and defenses. I believe Max Chadwick does it for Pro Football Focus. And we can start with the offenses here. Matthew, if you don't mind pulling it up. Top 10 offenses. They have the Longhorns projected based on his analysis as the number 3 best offense in the country, 3rd best offense in the country. I don't think we realize that Sark hasn't had a top 10 offense at Texas. I think most people kind of feel like, oh, it's a great offense. It hasn't been top 10. I think the highest it's been ranked, if I'm not mistaken, CJ, is 15th, I believe it was, in 2023. We're talking about scoring offense here. Scoring offense. Top, if you want to, you can, I'm sure, categorize offenses in different ways if you want to, in terms of how explosive they are and how efficient they are. All that. I'm just talking about really kind of scoring offense here, just points overall, just kind of simplified the discussion. But everybody's pretty much, would we be disappointed if Texas isn't a top 10 offense this year, the best? And that's crazy to say that because you're replacing multiple starters on the offensive line. You do have a brand new starting quarterback. And yet it seems like a lot of the predictions and projections have Texas offense being better than it was last year, or maybe even being the best offense Sark has had at Texas, which, like I said, the best offense has been top 15 in terms of scoring offense.
Look, if they're a top 15 offense this year with the defense and the pieces that they have there, there's your national champion. Now, will they? The big question for me, sits on that offensive line, brand new group. Only DJ Campbell returns. I know Cole Hudson's seen some time. Trevor Goosby's had some valuable time. But other than that, look, gelling is going to be a big key, especially early on when you go up on the road to Columbus and even middle of the year. Look, playing in Gainesville, playing back in Athens, that's not going to be easy for a first-time group trying to find its cohesiveness. And are you going to be able to gain those 1 to 2 tough yards when you need to? Texas hasn't been able to do that for multiple years now. Will they be able to do it in 2025? That's the key. But other than that, you have the wide receivers. You feel great about the tight end. Trey Wisner, more than capable to carry the load. And, of course, Arch. But it's the offensive line for me.
Coach, what say you? Predicting top 10 offense for Texas?
Yes. 3 is that's very optimistic, I think, considering what CJ just brought up, with the offensive line. But what I didn't realize was we're returning the leading rusher in the SEC.
Yeah.
I did not realize that. Now, I don't know if that's just from the SEC games or in all 12 games or all 14 games or whatever. I don't know how that was established, but that's incredible for a guy that, wasn't he supposed to be the starter, so don't, I just say that to remind myself more than anything that, you don't necessarily have to have experience. You do need experience on the offensive line for sure. But here's a guy that came really out of the middle, well, not the middle of the pack. We knew he was a great back, but to be the leading rusher in the SEC, that just shows you the depth that the University of Texas has. And still, I know we have a great wide receiver unit. I know we have a potentially great quarterback. I want to see it. I want to see the cream rise to the top. I want to see, as CJ said, the line protect the quarterback, the line open up the holes for these running backs. And I think we're capable of being in the top three, but I don't know that I would have put us quite that high right now. But, there's a lot of hype around this program right now, and it shows in most polls.
It's interesting looking at this list. Returning quarterback, new quarterback, halfway starting quarterback, returning quarterback, new quarterback, halfway starting quarterback, new quarterback, new quarterback. So, outside of the top two in Clemson, essentially, in LSU, I mean, you're looking at a brand new group of full-time starters across the country. So there's going to be plenty of room to rise for a lot of these schools as the season progresses as well.
To that point, CJ, and that's a great point. I was just getting ready to say that about Texas, but I think you're right about all those young quarterbacks who round into form late in the season. And I always say it's about playoff football. A lot of times when you got a true playoff format, it's not the best team that always wins. It's the team that got hot at the right time. And young quarterbacks, first-time kind of starter quarterbacks, they have a chance to really, the light can go off for them second half of the season. Texas with the CJ Baxter factor, I think can also, to Coach's point, could be better toward the end of the season than at the beginning of the season. And to your point, CJ, about the O-line, because they don't have any continuity just yet. A lot of talent. They don't have chemistry and continuity yet. That will come later in the season. So the O-line and the running game, pass protection could be better toward the end of the season too for Texas. So that is the hope that Texas kind of rounds into form. About the teams that Texas will play on here, they got the Aggie offense ranked pretty high. Texas. Oh, CJ is that Florida's ranked the highest of the teams that Texas will play at 5, and I think that's a little too high for Florida, honestly. I think that'd be a little too high for Florida because Florida's O-line is legit. I mean, Florida's going to return. I would say they return like 80+% of their offensive line snaps. And DJ Lagway is a monster. He's got a monster arm. Probably got the best deep ball, most dangerous deep ball in football. I'm not sure about all their weapons. I know they got Wilson returning, who was hurt last year, but he's a really good player. I'm not sure they got the weapons everywhere. I like the running backs. I'm not sure they got the weapons on the outside, though, to be considered an elite offense. But we shall see.
I do like J. Michael Sturdivant over at Florida. He came in from Cal, from Flower Mound originally. Really talented kid, high jump kid back in high school. But I'm looking at Ohio State at 9, saying they have the best receiving corps in the country by quite a while. And they're below an A&M team with a quarterback who can't throw. Look, save me the time, save me the effort for going into this. But Ohio State's going to have easily a better offense this year than Texas A&M, without any question.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I have to agree with that too. I just think that. Well, I'll say this: the Aggie running back room though is going to be pretty damn good, right? Because Ruben Owens will be healthy. Le'Veon Moss. I think they got some good news about him and his off the field issues. I believe.
Yeah, he'll be fine.
He'll be fine. And so I like that. And the offensive line, guys. The offensive line for the Aggies. I'm not going to give the Aggies too much credit, but it is one of the best offensive lines in college football. They have 6 players on that O-line returning with at least 300 snaps. I mean, it's pretty damn good. So I think that's where we're going to start. Now, if your coach doesn't trust your quarterback to be a captain or to be invited to the media days to represent the team, then I don't know if any of that matters because that's the guy it all revolves around. So we shall see. But there you go. Those are the top offenses based on Pro Football Focus projections. Also, they did the defensive side of things. They got the Longhorns as the overall second best defense ranked on their out of their projections. They actually, I was a little surprised by it. They got the Bama as a defense ranked ahead of the Longhorns here, but the Longhorns could be in the conversation for the best defense in the country. I heard Pete Thamel said that everybody gets their own time with Sark at the SEC Media Days. He said that Sark told him this is the best defense that he's had. And I don't know if Sark was saying stuff like that last season, even though the defense was really good. I don't know if he was that confident to be like, oh no, it's the best defense I've had. He's saying things like that, which makes me think this defense must be really damn good. If Sark is going, to me, that's kind of Sark going out on a limb. He never really says stuff like that unless he truly believes that they're going to be good. So the best defense he's had, that's him saying they're going to be just as good, if not better, than next year, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'll say this. Alabama, Kalen DeBoer at Media Days said one guy that's been really, really good so far this offseason is in LT Overton, who came from Texas A&M in that 2022 class. He looked good a year ago. Now they're expecting him to be in the conversation for an early draft pick next year, an All-American season this year perhaps. That's a big win for them. And, of course, Tim Keenan on the defensive line. It's going to be really tough to run against Alabama. It always will be with where they're positioned geographically. But, look, I think that defense is going to be really good, like Saban level good.
Ooh, Saban level good. That's a scary thought. Glad Texas doesn't have to play Alabama. You ain't got to worry about that shit. But you do have to play Georgia, coach. In Georgia, even though they lost a lot, I think out of respect for Kirby Smart, they're not returning a ton of proven commodities on defense, but I don't think it matters. What we do know is that he's been stacking that roster for the last 5-6 years with nothing but blue chip talent, and he's the best defensive mind arguably in college football right now. So that's all the recipe you need. I agree. I'll put Georgia in that top 5. That's gonna be the test for this Texas. That'll be the toughest test for the Texas offense, in my opinion. There ain't no doubt about it.
Yeah, I think the same thing. I guess Clemson has kind of snuck up on me with their defense. I wasn't expecting Clemson. I just don't keep up with that conference too much, and them. I didn't know they were projecting to have a defense. That's the one that stands out to me. Like, oh, I didn't see that coming.
Mm-hmm. They got Peter Woods, the D lineman, and what is the interior D lineman's name? CJ.
TJ. Peter Woods and TJ Parker. TJ Parker's more the edge rusher. Yeah.
Yep. There you go. And those are considered first round prospects, both of them. And they really like the secondary. I know CJ's not really high on the secondary, but they have a couple of guys in the secondary who are supposed to be early round picks too. Is it Terrell that you don't like? Is that the kid?
Avion Terrell. Yeah.
Avion Terrell.
14 holding penalties a year ago. No, thank you.
Hey, look who snuck up at number 10.
Hey, the best defense money can buy. All right.
David Bailey, the edge from Stanford, Lee Hunter, the UCF transfer. Dude, they're going to have a great front seven.
Oh, look at defense in Texas. Got the Aggies in the top 10, got the Red Raiders and the Longhorns. So got college football programs in the state of Texas playing defense in 2025. So there you go. That's the top 10 defenses based on Pro Football Focus projections. Thank you very much, Matthew. We appreciate that. Let's thank another sponsor before we move on. Let's thank our friends over at Vaughn Lane before we move on in today's program. If you have to travel to any of the major Texas cities, you got to get to Houston, you got to get to Dallas, you got to get to Fort Worth, San Antonio, Austin. It's a bit of a toss-up, right? Do you deal with the airport chaos? Hope your flight isn't delayed, dealing with all the stress or the general stress of any airport experience, or do you brace yourself for hours behind the wheel, dealing with traffic and road rage and hours of lost productivity on the road? That is also a very stressful situation. Well, the third option is better in every way and is a stress-free option. Our friends over at Vaughn Lane, they can get you to any city in any of these major Texas cities, and they can get you there in the most luxurious fashion, folks. You arrive at a luxury hotel terminal, no no TSA lines, no long-term parking lots, just a seamless boarding experience that will take minutes, not hours. You'll settle into a plush leather seat, a hot towel, pillow, and blanket are at arm's reach. Your attendant offers complimentary snacks, beverages, and on select trips, a full meal if you'd like. And if you need to relax, you can lean back and enjoy the ride. But if you want to stay productive, there will be high-speed Wi-Fi and power at every seat. So while you're unplugging or powering through, the Von Lane team will be monitoring traffic in real time, using smarter routes and efficient detours to keep your trip smooth and on schedule. And now is the perfect time to plan your fall travel. Booking is open through September. So whether you're headed to a college football game or a weekend getaway or a business trip that needs to be done right, Von Lane makes the journey part of the reward. Von Lane serves Austin, Dallas, Houston, Fort Worth, San Antonio, and in the Southeast, Atlanta, Nashville, and Memphis. Visit vonlane.com. That's VONLANE.com and use the code OTF25 to save $20 on your first ride with Von Lane. That's Von Lane, Elevated Regional Bus Transportation. Thank you very much to our friends over at Von Lane for sponsoring the winning drive. All right, let's take a couple of more questions, and then we'll got Splendid Daddy here with the super chat. Thank you, Splendid Daddy, for the super chat. He said, any thoughts on Brent Venables at media days? He just kind of said everything is fantastic for like an hour. Yeah, he didn't really say much. I think he's wanted to be positive. He knows that the perception right now is that he's on the hot seat. There's a lot of negativity surrounding his program from his own fan base, a lot of it coming from his own fan base, but also from critics about their new methodology in this new revenue sharing era about, hey, we got our own grading system, and just like NFL teams, we're going to grade each prospect, and if we see a 3-star that's got the same grade as a 5-star, we're going to prioritize the 3-star because that guy's going to be cheaper, essentially. And so I just think he's just trying to be positive. And that's what Brent, I haven't known him to be any other way, really, in media availabilities. And you guys have watched Brent Venables. I've known him to be kind of super positive all the time. And that's kind of the way he was at this media days as well.
He's a little bit, yeah. I think, as you mentioned this morning on Coffee and Football, I think if their quarterback gets hurt or is not what we think he might be, then it could be a long season for them, and the skid may continue. But the opposite can be true as well, of course. Is that if that quarterback comes through and sparks that offense like, VY did our offense. I'm not saying he's VY, but I'm saying he's dang good. We know that. I mean, if he could somehow duplicate what he did at Washington State in the SEC, then it could give OU the momentum that they need to get things back on track. But if they don't, it's kind of I just kind of look at Brent Venables as kind of hanging his job on that kid's shoulder, around his neck, and saying, we're counting on you. The quarterback said he had more money offered from other colleges, but he chose to come to OU, and you have to respect that because he wants to be the one to turn that program around, just like the quarterbacks that we've had that have come in that want to be the face of change at the University of Texas.
Yep. No, I couldn't agree more, Coach. That's a lot of pressure on John Mateer, but I feel like that if John Mateer has a good year, then they can stabilize that program. Because it's Oklahoma. I mean, they're a blue blood program. I think that's part of why John Mateer took less money, like you said, Coach, to go Oklahoma. He's like, if I can become a legend anywhere, I mean, a legend at Oklahoma sounds like that's a pretty good deal. I mean, then you're talking about being an icon, a blue blood institution like that. So, I'm with you, Splendid Daddy. I don't think he said anything. He kind of said everything was fantastic, but I think he's just trying to be as positive and as optimistic as possible about this. All right. How about this one from Doug? Says, CJ, out of the defensive line commitments, who is considered the war daddy of the group?
Ooh, that's a good question. Right now, I think it's James Johnson. Matthew, you could play his tape for a little bit if you got it. The most recent flip from Georgia. I mean, I think one service has him as a top 10 player in the country, and you see, he just throws people. I mean, I know these aren't necessarily 300-pound guards that he's going against, but probably around 275. Look at that. We got a guest, a little special guest edition.
Hey, my man.
What's up?
Yeah, watching some James Johnson. That's who the the war daddy of the class was. I said James Johnson. But look, Dylan Berryman's a mountain of a human. I think Corey Wells has some high upside as well. But look, I love Rodney Cleveland. He's probably that next guy to me. Just over here laughing, watching some James Johnson with us. Look, this is a guy that changes a class on the defensive line. That's a 5-star level guy.
I love the way Tony Hills was describing him Wednesday. Rod, he was talking. Y'all were talking about the heavy hands, and the way that it just seemed like his hands are just like, they're just like dynamite, and it's just hard. It's just hard for offensive linemen to get on because he's got such a powerful punch and such a quick first step. You hear that a lot, but you watch this guy, and it looks like he's got lead in his hands, man, that are being exploded out of a cannon or something.
It does. When he puts his hands on guys, like they move. Like he moves them, and like I said, he's got some really accurate. They're accurate hands too. They're powerful.
Yeah.
No doubt.
They look like you remember those green Hulk hands back in the day?
Yes, that's exactly right. Did you have some of those, CJ?
Oh, we had one. We couldn't get two because we started boxing each other. And I only needed one.
Mama Vogel wasn't having it. I love it. Leon, that's good. Duke says Leon let hands. Yes. That is a great description. I can even see it.
That's a great analogy, Duke. Yeah.
Yes. That's a good visual, Duke. You're right about that. Some guys, man, just heavy-handed. He was one of them. There you go. James Johnson. Like I said, he's easy to identify on film because he's always pushing some offensive lineman into the backfield. All right. I want to ask you guys about thank you very much, Matthew. Appreciate that. I got another thing I want to ask you guys about. Bud Elliott does his blue chip ratios. And essentially, very simple formula. Every year, he sits down and does the percentage of blue chips on a roster, 4- and 5-star recruits. And his theory, the hypothesis, is that to win a national title, basically, you need to have at least 50% blue chip rates, like above 50% blue chip ratio. And I think they went all the way back to 2000. If you go all the way back, like to 2011, every team has had at least 50+% blue chip ratio. So he basically his science tells him that every year there are only like 18 to 20 teams that can win the national title because there are only 18 to 20 teams that can have 50+% blue chip ratio. And he's been doing it with transfers too. He has one of his rankings without the transfers included, and then another one with the transfers included. So I'll just give you both just in case you see both. But the ones without the transfer, the ones with the transfer included and without the transfer included. This is the one without the transfers, I believe. And the only schools he's got Texas. I've said that 78% here in the blue chip ratio. The only schools with more in terms of the blue chip ratio would be Alabama and Ohio State here. He's got Alabama and Ohio State, I believe, both of those with 89% blue chip ratio here. And he's got Georgia with 84% blue chip ratio, the percentage of 4- and 5-star recruits on your roster. A&M at the Aggies, guys, with 82% blue chip ratio. And the Oregon Ducks tied with the Longhorns at 78%.
Okay, does this one include transfers?
This one, he said, does not. I can give you the ones with transfers.
Yeah, why would you not include the transfers? Are they not going to be able to play?
It was his science. He just said it's a different formula, basically. But I don't know why he did it, Coach. I don't know why he's still doing it the old school way. I have no idea. I love Bud Elliott, but that is not smart to do it the old school way. Just give us the blue chip with the transfers. Damn it. I'm with you, Coach. So here's the one with the transfers. He put it in his article, but he's got Ohio State at 82%. Leading the way, Bama at 78%. This is with the transfers, 78%. Georgia at 77%. Oregon 4th at 73%. And he's got Texas 5th at 72% in the ones with the transfers included. For you want to know what the Aggies are? The Aggies, he has, I'll give you just the top 10. LSU is 68%, right behind Texas. Notre Dame, he's got at 64%. here. 7th, you got the Aggies. 8th at 63%. Then Penn State at 62%. And then Miami, 57%, tied with Florida. And then Oklahoma with 56%. And then Clemson at 55%. So that's
it. It would be really interesting. You said everybody over the last 11 years is over 50% in that blue chip range.
yes.
Taking out
Won the national title.
Michigan in 2023, I wonder if there's some statistic for everybody north of like 70%, because I think Michigan was like an anomaly.
Yep, they were 54% to your point. So they were lower. Most teams are in like 70, 80%. Ohio State, he had them at 90% last year. Blue chip ratio. He had Georgia, their 2 back-to-back years, at 80% and 77%. Like I said, Michigan was at 54%. The only schools that have won the national title since 2011 that have a lower blue chip ratio than 60%. Michigan 2023 with 54%, Clemson 2016 with 52%, and Florida State in 2013 with 53%. That's it. Everybody else is 60% or higher. Hell, LSU, I'm surprised. It's LSU 2019, one of the most talented teams ever, 64%. But you had elite quarterback play, and the 2 best wide receivers, I bet, currently in the NFL right now are arguably on that team. That's all good. And Derrick Stingley. I mean, so your elite guys were really elite guys.
Really elite.
Yeah. So. But Clemson, I would say Clemson's won 2 national titles. They were at 52% and 61%. So Dabo's a culture thing. Dabo's about
that's 4 or 5 star, right? Is that what?
Yep. The 4 and 5 stars of blue chips. Yeah. So
from where we were this morning, I didn't realize, Jerry was telling me while we were up there, Clemson's only 2 hours, 15 minutes from where we were, about northeast of Georgia, or northeast of Atlanta by about an hour and a half. I don't know. My geography is good, not great, clearly, but that kind of blew my mind. I was like, oh, you're only about 2 hours. Like Dallas to College Station is longer than that. It makes sense how they're able to just poach from Atlanta so often. So that was my weird, my map fact of the day.
Yeah. No, I didn't realize that either, CJ. Honestly, I didn't know that till you just brought it up. But now it makes perfect sense too. About kind of what's fueling, that monster there. Let's get to, so there you go. That's the blue chip ratio. I would say this. Do you think that, to me, I think Texas still, they have basically 4 teams with as much talent or more talent than Texas overall. They're saying Georgia, and I said Georgia's got a lot of unproven commodities coming back for them, but we know Kirby's been stockpiling that thing forever. They got
heard what Kirby said, right?
What'd he say?
54% of his roster is year 1 or year 2 players. It's the most that it's been since he's arrived.
Wow. That makes sense. Because it feels like that. We followed Georgia. Everybody, you have to follow Georgia. They've been on top of the mountain forever. It feels like I don't know a lot of these Georgia guys. I feel like I know few Georgia players this offseason than I've ever had, basically in preparing for Texas versus Georgia and SEC. But I can't name you too many of those Georgia players like that are well-known commodities. It's just tough. All right, let's get to, we got a super chat here. Thank you, Joe. We appreciate the super chat. He says, afternoon, fellas from Kansas. Just wanted to give a shout out to CJ for his fantastic appearance on Crane and Company. How is a returning production calculated? Oh,
thank you, Joe. Really nice. Thank you.
There you go. CJ's the man. How is returning production calculated? I think there are different, I think people have different formulas for it. Bill Connolly's got his own formula for returning production. Some people include just, certain stats like we don't tackles and tackles for loss, and they look at stats. Some people look at snaps. Just look at snaps and reps overall and start. So it all depends on how you want to calculate it, pretty much in terms of returning production. But I think it'll all give you the same picture of the teams that have, quality experience returning. I think, to me, it's all about key positions too. Like offensive line returning production matters more to me than, some of the other positions, because they have to work as a unit. Starting, returning a starting quarterback should matter more than some of the other positions out there as well. So I think it also matters. I think D-line, returning a lot of guys on the defensive front matter, because it takes a while, as we have discussed, to develop those guys in the system. Right? You can't just you don't bring in a freshman in 2025 and go, well, maybe with Justice Terry. A few of these guys are freaks. All right, Lance Jackson. But for the most part, guys have to develop, be cultivated in the system. And so it takes them a couple of years, all right, to get ready, get their bodies right, and to get proper technique and fundamentals. And so if I could pick where I want that returning production, it'd probably be lines of scrimmage and QB. I think everywhere else you can figure it out, Joe.
I like it. I'm right there with you. You get the lines right, you get the quarterback right, and just like Michigan, those Clemson teams, and Florida State, that's how you build a champion if you don't have anyone, else comparable.
Texas for real says, how often do 5-stars get humbled when going against other 5-stars for the first time in practice, or do they dominate like in high school?
Real 5-stars very rarely. Say that.
Really? You think it's a real 5? So you're saying the ones who do get dominated, they not real 5-stars?
I didn't say
that. Coach, what are your thoughts about that?
It depends. Well, it depends on what you're talking about. Are you talking about a 5-star offensive lineman going against a 5-star defensive lineman, or a 5-star receiver going against a corner receiver? Or are you talking about a 5-star receiver going against a returning 3-year starter that was a 5-star? Yeah, those guys get humbled. There's no doubt. And we see it. We see it a lot. Sometimes I don't think it happens as much now as it used to. But it used to be, once someone that has a fairly well-known name rates a guy a 5-star, that it kind of seemed like other people say, well, man, that dude, he might have seen something that I missed or whatever, and so they just start. It's the same way that offers used to be, Once a guy got an offer from Texas or whatever, he started getting offers from everybody. Everybody starts jumping on. So I think recruiting ranking is more accurate now than it's probably ever been. Analysts like our guys on OTF spend an incredible amount of time watching film and going and seeing them in live, on their field or at their schools. And so, but I don't think, you're going to win some, you're going to lose some, but I don't think if you're a true 5-star, like CJ said, you're not going to get dominated against another 5-star, considering all things equal. You're both freshmen, or you're both, experienced returning players.
I think it also
helps, for the most part,
right?
Go ahead.
Because you were just talking about, CJ, how many great players Grayson had on their team, right? I mean, you said like 30 potential D1 prospects when you look at the entire roster, right? From freshmen to seniors. I think that helps. If you in practice in high school were going up against elite players every day, and so there's a certain level of play you should become accustomed to. And you get that baseline of consistency there, that would help, I think, a lot. So I think for guys who come from programs like that, I don't know if you have as much drop off when you get a 5-star going up against somebody else. Now, Coach, you get a 3-year starter going in college going up against a freshman coming in. Yeah, he gonna get the business. But I'm just talking about, for the most part, we can get an even playing field. I would put my money on those guys coming from those programs, who got those championship reps, elite reps every day in practice, going up against guys who have a similar skill and talent level.
To put this in, I guess, a metaphor that Texas fans will understand. John Turntine next year, when he goes up against Colin Simmons for the first time, he probably won't win that rep, but he's not going to get embarrassed, right? Because he's been going against those guys at North Crowley, who's now become one of the premier programs in all of DFW. That 5-star rating is legit. That quickness is legit. He's been tuning that every day because he goes against other really good prospects in practice. When he sees a Colin Simmons, it might not go his way for the first month or two. That's how a lot of these early enrollees are go about developing. But no, he won't get humbled to the point where it's like, oh, I got to re-question whether or not this was a take or not. That's how most of these 5-stars should be able to come in and perform.
I remember hearing that NFL scouts, and I'm sure they still do it. Remember that LSU team that it was so loaded, and they were basically those wide receivers going up against Derrick Stingley in practice. The NFL scouts wanted the practice film because they wanted to see Derrick Stingley, a first-round corner, going up against these 2 first-round wide receivers, and vice versa. Can you do that? Can I get practice film from Duncanville at practice and like all these? You know what I mean? Can I get that's the Grayson? Can I go get a practice film? Because I done got 30 guys. If I want to watch this prospect go up against other D1 prospects, can I get the practice film? Do the high school coaches allow that, coach? Is that a thing?
You bet. Yeah, if you request it, yeah. I think it depends on your relationship, of course. They wouldn't want you giving practice film, to their opponents. You'd have to have a good relationship and understanding with them. But sure, I think high school coaches are more than willing to do anything that they can do to help you evaluate their recruits and recruit them.
Yeah. I mean, it's only a few schools like that around the country that got that kind of talent. Yeah. So I mean, that'd be something because I want to watch guys in practice. That tells you a lot about a player. I want to watch a full game, not just the highlights, full game, and watch him in practice. That's why CJ and Jerry get such great nuggets about these guys. You watch them in practice, you tell a lot about a young man's character by the way he carries himself in practice. All right, let's thank you guys for all the questions. We appreciate that. Let's thank our last sponsor as we get ready to close out today's show. Let's thank our friends over at South Point Dodge. Before we get ready to close things out, you can score an easy extra point this season when you get to the point with our friends at South Point Dodge. South Point Dodge has over 600 vehicles in stock right now, including the all-new 2025 Ram 1500. Get the real deal today and drive away in the all-new Ram 1500, proven to last. Plus, you get employee incentive pricing right now. That's their fancy way of saying you pay what the employees pay right now at South Point Dodge. You won't find a better deal than that. Whether you need a car, truck, something new, something used, you need a trade-in, South Point Dodge can handle everything because they're Austin's automotive everything. So no matter what you need, you can go see them in person off of I-35 in South Austin, or you can go online and check out their inventory there as well at southpointdodge.com. So get the real deal today at southpointdodge.com. Thank you very much to our friends at South Point Dodge for sponsoring the winning drive and being a part of the On Texas football family. All right, we gotta let CJ get out of here because CJ's in the airport just hanging out, looking like a creep. People are like, what's this guy doing, man? So we'll let CJ go. Thank you, CJ, for all your dedication, man, and you and Jerry and the whole On Texas football team. You guys did a great job at SC Media Day. Jeff Howe included in that group as well. John Burrows, Jerry, and Bobby. You guys killed it. Matthew, by the way, the real MVP. It's only one. Matthew. We got a lot of folks here covering recruiting, talking football, talking to different, contacts behind the scenes, trying to get you guys the best insider nuggets. But there ain't nobody on this On Texas football team that can do what Matthew does. Nobody. So that makes him the MVP, ladies and gentlemen. So thank you, Matthew, for everything you do. Thank you, Coach. Appreciate the levity and the wisdom as always. You're one of the best in the business. Thank you guys as well for your super chats, your questions, comments. If we missed any of them, I apologize about that. Please direct them to the gentleman at Coffee and Football bright and early tomorrow morning. That'll be Jerry and Bobby. And we'll have our 1 p.m. live stream on Friday for you. I'll be a part of that too. I'm not sure who else is coming on with that, but I'll definitely be there. We'll find some other On Texas football family to throw on there as well. But for CJ and for Coach and for Matthew, I'm Lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers. Until next time, hook 'em horns.